Welcome back, class of 2020. I wish you could have the view that I have of all of you. Before we start, it is so nice to see you not in a Zoom box. And then it occurs to me we still put you in boxes. So I don't know. There's a theme here. Good morning and welcome to our faculty and staff, to the parents and family of our soon-to-be graduates, and most especially to the class of 2020 on the occasion of your high school graduation. As we gather for Solebury School's 93rd graduation, I think it best to begin this ceremony by taking a page out of Emily Braun's book. In the bag Annette handed you earlier, there's a small megaphone. Please take a moment to let out a scream. Yell hello to the friends you have not seen since early March. Just make some noise and celebrate the fact that you made it to this day. Have at it. As I thought about what to say to the class of 2020 as we gather here today, I found myself pondering not what you have lost, but rather what you have preserved and what you have discovered. Thanks to the Herculean efforts of our faculty, you were able to preserve your education. You completed something you began 12 years ago, the slow, steady march toward this moment and your graduation. With the gratitude to so many of our faculty and staff and many students, you were also able to sustain the community that is Solebury. Wrapped in the loving arms of many through a variety of activities and games and musical gatherings and just virtually hanging out, the Solebury community remained intact.
我们 Solebury 社区呢还是很完整而且很团结的，尽管过去几个月有很多的问题，我觉得你们会对于今年的春天，2020年大家会有很难忘的记忆，因为呢，尤其是在我们校园内发生很多事情。那么你们的同学知道这个人叫 Kyle。 那么他会在我们学校做了很多的工作。那么在这个新冠肺炎的疫情当中呢，我们学校呢还是可以很愉悦的进行。那么我们的留在学校的同学、老师还有教学的人员。
Jess dropping in to various gatherings, Scott giving shout outs at all assemblies, Britta continuing with her fixation of bananagrams, or pictures of many nuns many of you offered.
我们在学校的同学呢，展现了他们的友谊。
The bonds you have forged with each other and with us were not tested, but strengthened.
我们的这种友谊呢是被测试而且被加强的。那么在这个滨州的这个郊区呢，我们有很好的生活。那么在过去的12个礼拜，很多人呢就是利用 Zoom 跟我对谈。那么我也给大家透过 Zoom 来看到我们这个学校的环境。那么我很高兴说我是 Solebury 的一员。
Over the past 3 months of remote everything. But I hope you have also had time to reflect.
那么我希望大家还有时间可以想一想。
That the first discovery may be the realization of the impermanence of normal. As you look ahead to your life's journey, I would suggest that your generation will experience a pace of change far greater than any generation in several centuries. Perhaps the only comparison might be Great Britain in the mid to late 18th century and the dawn of the Industrial Revolution. If I'm right, over the course of your life's journey, what is normal will change many times. We are already trying to plan for this emerging new normal, settling in perhaps next year, perhaps sooner. For all of us, but especially for your generation, to thrive going forward will be to embrace the reality that whatever this new normal is, it will be temporary, followed by more disruption, and then an emergent of a new normal, and on and on. You will need to curate a different skill set over your lifetime to recognize, adjust, and adapt to the ever-changing new normals that confront you. Flexibility, agility, nimbleness, together with courage, compassion, and empathy, must be front of mind as your world and our world continues to change. I hope your second discovery in this moment is the recognition of the fragile nature of what we humans have constructed and call civilization. As a species, we are more interconnected now than at any time in our history. We have learned that something that happens 7,500 miles away in China or 1,000 miles away in Minneapolis affects us all in real and tangible ways. The concept of us must give way, us and them rather, must give way to the concept of we if the progress humanity has made becomes progress for all and not just a few. I hope you have also discovered that you are more resilient than you may have thought. Life in the form of the COVID-19 pandemic threw you a horrific curve in the final stretch of your senior year. You were robbed of memories you should have had, memories and moments you have been anticipating for months, if not years. You were sad and angry and despondent, and you overcame. You pushed through. You made it to this moment. And so, as you sit here now, wistfully giving leave to your thoughts, allowing them to tap dance across a treasure trove of memories unleashed in moments like this, your focus no doubt blurred, reminiscences of the past colliding with wonder about the future, all the while relishing with well-deserved satisfaction all that today's ceremony symbolizes for you. As I look ahead and wonder with you where the road will take you, I have these hopes for you. That among the stuff you learned during your years at Solebury, in your personal traveling kit, we, with you, have nurtured the following. First, an appreciation for perspective. The highs are never quite as high, nor the lows so low as they seem in the moment. When faced with the immediacy of whatever, for example, maybe say a pandemic, take a breath, take time to think, and take the longest view possible before deciding on a course of action. Second, cultivate a sense of humor and find laughter no matter the challenge. Live your life as an adventure to be embraced, not a burden to be borne. With perspective, you can always find a reason to laugh, to lighten the burden for just a bit, while you gather yourself to do the hard that faces you. You have already faced sorrows and defeats and failures and disappointments, and yet you are here, drinking in the success of finishing something you began so long ago. And so you have in your kit already cultivated in yourself tenacity, resilience, and grit. Continue to nurture these qualities. They are required traveling companions for the balance of your journey if at the end you seek to declare your journey one well made. Finally, lean into the years that lie ahead of you with courage. Without courage, our world becomes very small, and absent the boldness required to fully engage in your life's journey, we become very much like the small metal ball in an old-fashioned pinball machine, batted about by the many forces around us, but inconsequential to the outcome. Truth, integrity, responsibility, accountability. With courage, you can seize all of these as beacons to guide you. Accept that you will fail. You will have disappointments. Fairness will not always be offered, but know that with perspective and tenacity and grit and resilience, with a sense of humor and with courage, your journey can be an adventure, one to embrace boldly. To the class of 2020, I could not be more proud of you. You have my love and affection, and I offer you my warmest and heartfelt congratulations on this day. Would you please welcome our first senior speaker,
恭喜我们2020年毕业的同
Wow. Hi, everybody.
大家早上
A
好
lot of you.
这里有很多人
So I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about what makes Solebury so very special to me. And to do so, I'm going to take you back to what was for me the beginning, 4 years ago. Imagine me about a foot shorter, with a haircut that would have made any
我讲一
middle-aged
下
woman jealous.
之前我在 Solebury 的学校的时光，当时我年纪比较小，也比较矮的
From such a
一
small
个小
school
孩
that the 235 students that Solebury boasted seemed unimaginably numerous.
当时呢，学校的人员好像很多，而且很多人呢就帮助我进行登记。我记得我坐在这个 AV 的房间，我当时很迷惑。有人呢就教我进入学校的这个电邮地址。当时我还不会用 Google Chrome， 所以呢，我觉得很失望。
Skip came to my rescue. He showed me how to log in, how to see my classes, how to find the A key on the keyboard, all the basics. I was saved. In the years that followed, I came to find that that wasn't an isolated incident. You see, I've never once felt alone at Solebury. I've never once had trouble finding someone to talk to, whether it was a junior my freshman year who taught me how to plot data points on a digital graph for physics class, or a teacher who pulled me aside and asked if I was okay on an off day. Everyone is there for one another every step of the way. This presents itself in so many small ways, from Tom standing in the circle every morning, come rain, snow, sun, or wind. One time, I'm pretty sure I saw him standing there in such cold weather that his feet actually froze to the asphalt. To Anthony in the dining hall, making a point of saying hello to every student as they walked by to get their lunch. I'm really not sure that my grilled cheese and tomato soup is going to taste the same without him greeting me first. But this is Solebury. And while this warmth and friendliness is certainly impressive and something that I cherish, what has really solidified the absolute sheer greatness of this community is the fact that it has barely changed in terms of support since this pandemic started. If anything, it's actually become more supportive. My fellow students and our teachers do not hesitate to jump on a Zoom call at any time of the day or night to talk and laugh, beat Britta in online bananagrams, or even just to commiserate about this strange situation. Everyone from my classmates to faculty members have been so creative and motivated when it comes to planning virtual events. I will never forget when Holly Victor absolutely dominated in Solebury Jeopardy. I mean, she knew almost every answer. Or when Kyle DJ'd virtual prom, taking requests from the Zoom chat, but purposefully ignoring my request for Wuthering Heights by Kate Bush. These events, while I would of course have much rather enjoyed them in person with you guys, have been the most helpful when it comes to feeling connected to you all. They've proven to me that despite all that is going on in the world and the physical distance between all of us, we are still a community. Solebury continues to teach us how to love one another, how to choose what to do with our time, how to support the things that warrant support, in addition to all of the other valuable lessons that are too numerous to list. This has not changed. So now that we are leaving the comfortable, safe confines of the Solebury campus and embarking on a journey on what is now more than ever an uncertain path, I take comfort in the thought that whatever happens, if colleges don't open up, or worse if they do, we will all have such a supportive community behind us each step of the way. The class of 2020 all across the country and the world is facing uncertainty in this pandemic, a huge global crisis altogether. But we have something that they don't have. We have Tom Wilschutz. We have Britta Milks. We have all of the wonderful faculty, staff, friends, classmates, and dogs that this school has to offer to back us up, advise us, comfort us, or just be there with us through this scary, unpredictable time. We've been taught valuable lessons about how to live life to the fullest, how to be our best selves, how to advocate for what we believe in. And that is what gives me hope for the future. That is what will keep us strong through whatever we have to go through to make the changes that need to be made. Finally, that is the reason that we are so much luckier than the rest of the world, because we went to Solebury.
Thank you, Dom. Before our next speaker, I would like to publicly thank the entire maintenance team and our IT team for all their work and effort to create this space for your graduation. It is spectacular. And I don't know where he is, but a special shout out to Tim Lohan. This was his vision. Would you please welcome our next senior speaker, Shizhen Liu.
Good morning, graduates, families, faculty, and staff. I'm so glad to see you all here. 3 weeks ago, while I was attending Aiden's house party, I started drafting the speech. It was actually one of the few times that I did not put off writing during my time at Solebury. So if there's one takeaway from this speech, then it's that, please, graduates, remember to not procrastinate in the future. But there's more. While I was enjoying Aiden's music, I saw exclamation marks following text in the Zoom chat, expressing people's love for the music he played. I saw how we can share our passions and talents for the well-being of others. Beyond Aiden's house party, I look forward to other activities that people came up with during our virtual trimester: coffee house, crib notes, proctor events, and more. Because these events made me feel more connected to this community, and my time during quarantine were eventful. Over our time at Solebury, members of the class of 2020 have used their talents for the well-being of others repeatedly, whether we were in person or not. When Emily, Safwa, and Dominique moved the future plans of the seniors board from Solebury's dining hall to the internet, they restored a portion of our normal senior experience. When I saw Ben's ceramic pieces lined up on the table in the art room, I was impressed by his work ethic and passion. I felt his deep connection to this community. And there are certainly many more things that we have done for others that cannot be listed in a 3-minute speech. Class of 2020, you are inspiring. You have inspired me to try new things like cross-country and metalworking, pursue my interests in math, science, and the arts, and contribute to this community through Teach to Serve and being a campus tour guide and peer tutor. However, I know that we could not have achieved what we have today without the support of teachers, families, and friends. Among these people, I want to especially thank my parents who have made the tremendous commitment to relocate to the United States and enable me to attend Solebury School. Without them, I would not be standing here today. Thank you. I would also like to thank every teacher and staff member of Solebury School for your tireless devotion to our education and for showing us the value of community. And I encourage each one of us to thank those who helped us along our journey and cherish the education, community, and opportunities we had. Being a member of the Solebury community means that we all have contributed to it and all have received support and encouragement. When we bring our interests, talents, and hard work together, we can bring hope, excitement, and a sense of belonging to others. In the future, I'm certain we will, as many of us have already started to, bring positivity into other people's lives beyond Phillips Mill Road in many parts of the world. And when we face difficulties in life, we will find support in our communities beyond Solebury. And remember that we are not alone. Congratulations, Solebury's graduating class of 2020. I cannot wait to see how much more we can achieve. Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Shazan. I would like to take just a moment to thank Christine Teal and her team of volunteers for all the work they did decorating campus in honor of this event. Would you now please welcome Safwa Ozair.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so as I see you, my heart is really, really full. It's full of love and gratitude for all of you, the Solebury community. You are a group of human beings that are unmatched. I don't think there exists a school community like this anywhere, in any place, and especially in any school. And especially during a time when so much has been taken away from us, you have given so much to me and to my fellow classmates. You went through incredible lengths to keep tradition, love, and care for your students and seniors alive. And for that, I am forever grateful. I still remember my interview the very first day I stepped on campus and Scott sat me down in a chair and asked me what I valued. And I instantly said a sense of community. And gonna be honest, at that time, I really did not like my life and doubted I would be happy and content, especially in a school environment. This environment I dreamed of seemed like a fantasy that maybe if I said it out loud, it would just come to life. I didn't really believe that I would be able to find the perfect community that I painted a picture of in my head. What I found instead was something else, something I didn't even imagine. I found a community in a place that is beautiful. The trees that lined the path as I walked to the dining hall every single day shaded me with safety. The field in the back of the barn invited me to lay in the grass with my friends as we laughed and talked, sometimes as I annoyed them with how much I told them, oh, I love the field. It was really annoying, but anyways. The pond near a slowly swaying swing where I would go whenever I needed just a little bit of peace. These are small things, but they were what kept me safe. I also found a community where teachers are humans first. People that cared about me, my mind, and where it landed way before anything that I submitted to them on Canvas. I found mentors that I could bother after school in their classrooms and laugh with about my mistakes of yesterday. I found people that taught with such passion that I would get lost in their words and forget what I was thinking. And I found a community that stretched my mind and my character. At Solebury, all of us were empowered to embrace our individuality and truly be ourselves. Here, we learned what community was. We were challenged to wrestle with big ideas that sometimes were really uncomfortable, a process that created a wonder group of humans, all of these wonderful people, who are full of passion and ambition. We were allowed to go barging into Zach Arrington's classroom, bursting in as we sang our tone-deaf version of Wuthering Heights, or record a really weird poem about cucumbers in the library. Thank you, Hannah. We could just go to Maria's conference room to say hi or eat some deformed but really good citrus with Helen. We were able to go to any teacher and advocate for ourselves on campus. We find ways to shape our community, whether it was an idea of speaking Spanish while eating lunch because that just seemed really fun, or talking to the administration about changes we could create at school. It gave us the ability to speak without fear. We have been empowered by Solebury. We have learned how to raise our voices and create change. And look, I really know that the world right now seems like it is crumbling. There's a cruel and unfair pandemic. There are passionate protests, and cities are on fire. I look at this world and it sometimes scares me, and I feel as though I don't recognize what I see anymore. But when I look around at you, I do see aching hearts, but I also see hope. Because Solebury taught us about what it really means to be part of a community, how we are all supported when we support others, and that we must see ourselves and see others as human beings first. It taught us to listen and understand that we all deserve respect and equality. And mostly, it gave us an immense amount of empathy, something that many of us need right now. And the beautiful part, the part that gives me hope, is that we have these lessons inside of us, and we will bring them wherever we go. They won't get lost. So, thank you for being here for me, for catching me when I stumble and eventually fall, maybe even breaking my foot and getting wheeled around in a golf cart. But thank you for allowing me to fall. Thank you for just letting me be a human, for letting me grow and become a better person. to find what I am passionate about and what I truly value, even if the journey to get there hasn't really been pretty. When I arrived here 4 years ago, I thought I knew I was looking for when I said that I wanted to find a community. Yet every day, these past 4 years, this school has redefined that word for me. So thank you for being my home.
Thank you, Safwa. There is an additional group I would like to publicly thank: the faculty and staff of Solebury School, who labor in love to shape, to mold, to provide the education that is your preparation for life. Would you please give my colleagues a round of applause? Would you please welcome our final senior speaker, Amel Ouji.
Wow, it's a lot of us here. Okay. Good morning, family and friends, faculty and staff, and Solebury Zoom class of 2020. Yes, continue cheering, please. It is truly remarkable and admirable what this community can accomplish. In the midst of a global pandemic, worldwide protests for justice, history being made, we are still standing. And not just standing 6 feet apart, but with each other as a community. We are in this together. Shout out to my now former Solebury tour guides, and special shout out to the tour guides who are not official tour guides, but Scott dragged you into it. If there's any single word we can count on, it would be community. For those of you who don't know, this simple 9-letter word, community, has been said more times in a tour than the name of our school. After so long of not seeing you all, you would imagine how I filled up with anticipation to see the deer running on campus, marking up the fields where I used to play, and then heading back to their home in the Horseshoe Trail. Honestly, it could have been a sign that I should have gotten out more in quarantine. But it was in quarantine where I realized that these were the moments that I needed, the community that I needed. Not too long ago, we were asked to recall one of our favorite Solebury moments. The key word here is one. How could I just tell you about one of my moments? Some of my favorites are when I became overwhelmed with laughter and confusion when my best friend Julie burned popcorn in the girls' dorm microwave, filling the air with yellow smoke. Popcorn. Yeah, Julie, the instructions were on the bag. Let me tell you about how proud I felt after 2 weeks it took me to tastefully place garbage bags over the set of Living Dead in Denmark. Good job, me. Or how psych I was when Carrie told us we'd be dissecting a sheep pluck while we studied the heart in anatomy. Make some noise if you even know what a sheep pluck is. Yeah, Grayson? I couldn't even tell you when the word community transformed into home. A home where I could count on seeing at least one student bring a blanket to class. A home where we could play a school-wide game of tag during lunch. A home where HomeQuest Dorm Lounge was filled with my peers. And what would home be without the people? A family. The family that pushed me to audition for the musicals. It's the same family that gave me 4 packages of Hawaiian rolls, the best sweet bread you could ever get in your life, for my 18th birthday. The same family that comforts me with a Dracula statue and a wind-up skeleton when I'm sad. Thanks, Zach. Thank you, Solebury, for your unconditional love and support that gave me the confidence to keep moving forward. Thank you to the man, the myth, the Washburn devotee, Scott Eckstein, my advisor. Scott is just one of the many teachers who teach beyond the classroom. And not only does he teach, he guides. He showed me with all his contagious passion and excitement what school really should be. And I am forever grateful. And last but not least, thank you to my parents and my sister Amira and my brother Amir for always being by my side no matter what. Graduates, no matter what's next for you, we've all made lifelong connections here. As we go down our different paths as actors, actresses, doctors, artists, engineers, musicians, teachers, or activists, we'll always be able to come back to this Solebury community. I'm so proud of all of you. And as we enter into the new chapter of our lives, in order to become agents of change, to help build and strengthen communities like ours, remember, diversity, inclusion, and equality should always be a part of the conversation. Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Amel. Before we welcome our next speaker, I would ask each member of the class of 2020 to offer their thanks, love, and appreciation to their parents. Let's be honest, without them, you would not be. And without their support and their sacrifice manifested in so many ways, you would not have had the privilege of attending Solebury School. The class of 2020 has asked Matt Barron to address them.
Thank you, Gigi. Forgive me if I go a little bit long, because this is goodbye after a long 10 years. So before I begin, I'd like to say how truly honored I am. I mean this sincerely. And many years ago, when I first started at Solebury School, I got to speak, and here I am again. My time in this place has been nothing short of redemption for me. The closing of a loop that had long been opened, and speaking at your graduation is the last step in bringing the ends together. So thank you. So when I spoke at graduation some 10 years or so ago, I told the story of a 10th grader in my math class, Jamal. And Jamal sat second row all the way to the right in my math class, and he was there graduating the day that I gave the speech. In class, he had a smirk on his face all day, every day, and he mumbled things under his breath and things I cannot repeat here. And he thought he'd been speaking low enough to be out of my hearing range. And one day, after about a month of whispering, I went over to his desk and I said, "I can hear you." And his face lost blood, and he looked at me with panic in his eyes, and he asked, "What did you hear?" And I said, "I heard everything. For the last month, every filthy word." And I told the graduating class that very thing, that I'd heard every word, but that was because Jamal was present. And I'll let you in on a little secret, and him too now, 10 years later, if he's listening. I didn't hear a word, but I didn't have to, because I knew what he was up to. And I knew he thought he was getting away with it because I was just like him at that age. I was, in some way, great or minor, like all of you. And I see my young self reflected in you. And so 10 years or so ago, I very clearly remembered what it was like to be a kid. And I'm proud to say that 10 years later, going on 50, and I still remember. I remember even more clearly what a kind word, often said in passing, can do to a young person who's experienced a moment of sadness or loneliness or an alienation can do. I remember because Solebury School is a place where the heart and the happiness comes first. Because once your heart is settled and you're happy, you're open to learning and everything is easier. I never experienced that as a student, and I'll tell you truly that witnessing here changed me. I feared that I would grow into an old cynic, shaking my fist at cars full of teenagers driving by because they must be up to no good, but I'm not, and I don't, because I imagine those cars driving by are full of Solebury students like you. And 10 years ago on this stage, I also talked about the real world and how it's scary to think about moving on and becoming a real person, as one student once referred to it. I also said that the worst is yet to come, by which I mean that tragedy, drama, heartbreak, heartache, they're all coming in a way that you may not yet have seen. But it's okay, and I'll tell you why it's okay. I recently met up with someone who has on many occasions been subjected to my life lectures. Jeffrey Gordon, he graduated from Solebury School. I was his teacher and his coach, and we sat in the parking lot of a Home Depot in New Jersey, and he in his car and me in mine, both of us wearing masks. We ate too and stuffing food behind our masks as we talked, like I did when I was 7 when I refused to take off my Spider-Man Halloween mask for months after the holiday had ended. That is a true story. We talked for hours about the mistakes and setbacks and stupid things he'd done since he graduated. And we talked about the good stuff too, but he said that dealing with adversity had gotten easier over the years, especially when he remembered my words, "The worst is yet to come," but you'll get better at dealing with things. Just keep moving forward. The world is still the world, but we learn to deflect and reflect and cope and move on and forward. After all that he'd been through in his life and in the years since graduation, things were finally looking up, and this virus swept through the world. And so he was back at home, quarantining with his aging parents. He's 23 and his father's 80. He was working part-time serving coffee in spite of having graduated from an Ivy League university, and graduate school had been put on hold. But still, he talked about the positive and how important it was to keep moving forward, no matter if you are where you thought you should be. He reads and he plans for the future, and he exercises, and he makes the best of serving coffee to ungrateful hipsters. This is a far cry from the weeping ninth grader that I first met outside of the Abbey building here on campus. So upset because no matter what he did, he just couldn't get a decent grade on his history essays. He credits Solebury School in large part to his growth. And the lessons that he learned in the classroom and on the wrestling team, he said he'll hold close forever. And graduates, I would be remiss if I didn't thank you for your optimism and for your positive energy. And teaching is a second career for me, and I'm so happy that I've spent the bulk of that second career here at Solebury School. The kids are all positive, even the cynics among you. And I know it's not all joy. I see the pain that's sometimes behind your eyes and the pain that's sometimes masked by your smile. And I know that I and the adults at Solebury School see what you might not, which is truly limitless potential and great chapters of your lives yet unwritten. I had trouble putting into words why teaching means so much to me and why it changed me so much. Russ Carrick, a wise man, put it into words in a way that I never could. He said, you stopped looking for a Mr. Miyagi and you became one. And so I thank you for letting me lecture you, advise you, excuse me, and share your energy. In many ways, teaching saved me, and I thank you for that. It's been complete redemption for a kid who wasn't successful at school and who had no mentors, and it was found through teaching at Solebury School true happiness. It's all of you, the students, the graduates, who make this place so special. And Solebury School has closed some loops for me and at the same time opened doors that I might not otherwise have seen before me. And like you, I'm leaving Solebury School, but Solebury School will remain with me forever. It's given me the best friend I've ever had. I mentioned Russ. It's given me the wife I don't deserve, and Christy. She's out there, and I'm sorry about the man cave in the basement, but the 12-year-old me wouldn't believe it. I've got Chuck Norris posters. Most importantly, it's allowed me to put something good into the world. Jamal, the smart-mouth kid I mentioned earlier, he's now an officer in the military, a college grad with high honors, and he's married. When I went to his wedding a few months ago, and he hugged me and told me that I meant something to him and had an impact on his life. And the truth is, he had an even greater impact on mine. Just as all of you have impacted the lives of those working at Solebury School. So it heals. Well, it's not supposed to, is it? To heal us, but it does. It's the people and the culture they've created. I can go to Julie. Yes, I go to Julie sometimes. We all do. And tell her something weird about myself, and she'll say, meh, we're all weird. In her Long Island Jewish mother sort of way, making everything better. And I can go to Leela, and I can tell her the same thing, and she'll say, that is weird, and you're so screwed up, and you're an idiot, making everything better. I've seen what Solebury School can do time and again. Kids come here jaded and hurt, and within days they're not transformed, but rather the layers are stripped away, and the incredible is revealed, and you all are incredible. A former advisee, totally transformed in his 6 years here, so I thought. The change was dramatic, and for a time I was in awe of his change. But then I realized he didn't change, but he was given the space and opportunity to allow the real him to shine through. And to the parents, can you imagine really loving yourself at 17 or 18, really loving yourself, and being close to self-actualized at that age? I mean, that's the opportunity that you gave when you chose to send these kids to Solebury School. And graduates, now and forever, Solebury School will serve as an anchor, an oasis for you. And I know this for a fact because I've heard the stories at alumni weekends from the older graduates about how they can always come home. I also listen to the old timers talk to the recent graduates, and people 60 years apart in age find common ground in this campus, in this place. And you and I are part of that now, and this is home, And these are your extended family members. And so I sort of graduate with you today, though it took me 10 years. So lastly, I'd like to tell you a few things that I'll never forget. My first summer here, before school started, before I taught a minute at Solebury School, my car broke down in the parking lot right in the middle. And Steve Buteau, a senior administrator, walked over and he said in the Steve B. understated way, "Well, looks like you're stuck, huh?" He then proceeded to push my car by himself into a spot as I steered, and I thought, oh, this looks bad. This looks really bad. But no, he never mentioned it again. He just did it because he's just a nice guy. I'll never forget the way the dorm absolutely erupted when the announcement that dorm parent Jen Perez had given birth to a baby boy, Ian, who's now like 9 years old. And that speaks volumes about the family that is Solebury, the family that Jen helped create. And I'll never forget Tom Wilschutz's relentless, merciless teasing of Julie. And I'll never forget Russ's unbridled enthusiasm for weekend duty on Halloween weekends. He tells stories around a fire of hauntings on campus that he's been told time and again by administrators not to tell. And I'll never forget Noah Sadoff, who sort of represents many of you. He's one of the smartest kids I've ever taught, but maybe the worst wrestler I've ever seen. I hope he's not listening. Win a wrestling match after 5 years, 5 long years of trying. And I will remember that because Solebury School is a place where it's safe to try new things and to do what you love, even if not innately talented. And I'll never forget that when I told a boy named Quinn that his solution to a math problem was excellent and very imaginative, he told me, "I know, I have hyperimaginativity disorder." And I told him, "Quinn, I don't think that's a real thing." And he said, "I know, I have hyperimaginativity disorder." And I thought, well, Solebury schools are not gifted. You are uniquely gifted. And I'll never forget breakfast in the dining hall with Anthony Porter. Feel free to applaud. Anthony, you're amazing. And in case you're wondering what we're talking about at breakfast with our heads pushed together, speaking in hushed tones, we're actually just talking about 1980s professional wrestling. Specifically, this is for Anthony, specifically that the Road Warriors are the greatest tag team in the history of the sport, and that their greatest match was against the Steiner brothers in 1989. I think Anthony agrees. And Anthony, by the way, is as kind-hearted outside of work as he is at work. He's exactly the same. And I'll never forget Greg Lewis coming to my class to take attendance and bear hugging me in front of my class. And if Anthony Porter was there, I would have tagged him in 80s wrestling style. I'll never forget how Kathy Block was so kind in asking me to play trumpet with the rock band on my favorite Stevie Wonder song, Superstition. When he asked, how did it sound? Kathy politely changed the subject to avoid the truth. I mean, it's okay, Kathy, I know I'm not a musician. And I leave with these memories and countless others. And of course, each of you is leaving with many of your own memories forged at Solebury School. Whether you've been here for a year or for 6 years, I'm sure this place has left its mark on you. And rest assured, each of you has left your indelible mark in the heart of the faculty who were lucky enough to teach you, and the coaches who were lucky enough to coach you, and all those who knew you in your time here. And so I have to say goodbye, but I won't. Hayden Cowperthwaite, a longtime advisee of mine, a rising junior and a wise young man, wrote me one of the nicest letters I've ever received. What he said is personal and private. What he ended with, I'll take it and I'll use. And he said, I don't like saying goodbyes because I feel like that's the last time I'll see someone. So to that, I'll see you around. And congratulations to the class of 2020. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. I think I speak for all of our colleagues at Solebury School. We will miss you greatly. You've made a difference. So it's not goodbye. I'll see you around. Class of 2020, it is now time to award your diplomas. Rick Toney, Director of Studies, will announce the recipients. When your name is called, please walk in the lane in front of your car toward the center aisle, and then proceed to the table where I will point to your diploma and you will pick it up. Once you have it, turn with me toward the photographer and we will stand appropriately apart, take off your mask, and he will snap a picture, and then our guides will get you back to your car.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of our incredibly dedicated and hardworking faculty and staff, I'm honored to present the graduating class of 2020, Solebury School. Anisha Adja. Laura Clay Arnold. Nicholas Drake Arnold. Grayson Elijah Baker. Rebecca Lynn Bazo. Emily Rena Braun. Adrian Christoph Vogler Boulard. Benjamin Forbes Bunting. Kate Campbell Cole. Nicole Curry Cosner. Morgan Calperthwaite IV. Eva Sky Creedon. Fletcher Wellings Davis. Francesca Ray Leonardina DeMarco. Alexander Angelis Duga. Michael Rory Duthie. Masawa Aman L. Kiara May S. Fox. Isaiah Meyer Ginsberg Henry. Owen Miles Graham. Kongyang Gua. Eric Felix Hallberg. Gabrielle Caitlin Hoffing. Aiden Bennett Holtz. Xavier Francis Lane. Zixuan Lee. Shijen Liu. Isabel Rose Manya. Sarah Rose Manhurst. Madison Olivia Martin. Nash Watson McBride. Troy Everett McGregor. Rebecca A. Morgovsky. Avery Jenna Orsini. Amel Ouji. Safwa Aisha Ozer. Connor James Phillips. Arlene Aaliyah Ricks. David Bradley Rosenbaum. Alexander Jared Rosenfeld. Sophia Claire Rubin. Griffin Scott Schenker. Kyle Donald Slagle. Anna Elizabeth Schmidt. Henry Kyle Sharp. Jiatzi Shen. Junpeng Shi. Ava Manya Smith. Ethan Jeremy Stein. Gianluca Bernard Sterla. Juliana Celine Tess. Maxwell John Thompson. Noah John Vallow. Dominique Paris Wander. Ian Christopher Weber. Brian Matthew Wedderburn. Heath Farrell Yatvin. David Christian Yellow Robe Yates. David Christopher Zaketta. Jackson Scout Zurer. Kiying Zhang. Hawkai Joe. Postgraduates, George Mark Anthony Loretto. Elizabeth Marie Vanderbort.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about some noise and applause for the class of 2020? To our newest alums, well done. To the graduates, as you look ahead to the next journey and all the ones that follow, I would ask that you reflect on the words offered by President John F. Kennedy many years ago. Kennedy noted that when written in Chinese, the word crisis is composed of two characters. One represents danger and the other represents opportunity. It is inarguable that we are graduating you and sending you out into a world with many crises. It is also true that you enter this world with opportunities to make a difference. I urge you to seize these opportunities to make our world a better place for all humans. As you leave Solebury, go forward with zest and ambition and purpose and courage. And don't forget to have some fun. This concludes Solebury School's 93rd graduation.
All the things I'd give just to have this wish to hold you in the light. Peaceful wish for all of your life. May you treasure your youth. Find joy in all you do. To yourself be true. This peaceful wish for you. Holding you in the light and every starry night. I make a peaceful wish for your life. All the things I'd give just to have this wish to hold you in the light. Peaceful wish for all of your life. May you treasure your youth. Find joy in all you do. To yourself in the light and every starry night. I make a peaceful wish for your life. All the things I'd give just to have this wish to hold you in the light. Peaceful wish for all of your life. May you treasure your youth. Find joy in all you do. To yourself be true. This peaceful wish for you. Holding you in the light and every starry night. I make a peaceful wish for your life. All the things I'd give just to have this wish to hold you in the light. Peaceful wish for all of your life. May you treasure your youth. Find joy in all you do. To yourself be true. This peaceful wish for you. Holding you in the light and every starry night. I make a peaceful